The Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup in 6 games, and I was right about the Edmonton Oilers, and I have a feeling that they had a couple of players, they might have won the cup.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, I'm going to react to the Stanley Cup Finals because I have a lot of thoughts about what happened in last night's game and how it kind of relates a little bit to the Blues. Because the way that my mind works is now it's officially the offseason. It was the Blues' offseason after we got eliminated on May 4th. But now we have officially entered the offseason. The draft is 9 days away. Free agency obviously begins on the 1st. So there is a lot that is going to go down. But the thing that is most important on today's episode of Locked On Blues is me really talking about a couple of points. Players on the Panthers who I would want the Blues to have, how I was right about the Edmonton Oilers this entire time, and of course, an emotional moment that I saw on social media today that just made me feel so proud of the Blues' organization. So we have a lot to get into, as I said, but I want to let you know before I begin today's episode that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So last night, the Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers. There was no doubt about that. It was an easy win. Sam Reinhart with 4 goals, a hat trick. It was insane. Seth Jones finally gets a cup. First guy named Seth to win the Stanley Cup, so that was a cool fact. But yes, the Panthers are back-to-back champions. The cup stays in Sunrise. But last night's game exposed a couple of things, and this kind of blew up on Twitter at Locked On Blues when I said I never want to hear a comparison that Stuart Skinner is better than Jordan Binnington. Jordan Binnington is an elite goalie, and you might be wondering, Haley, why are you bringing up Jordan Binnington? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, despite the Blues' loss in the first round to the Jets, and I just want to remind you that the Oilers have a better roster than the Blues, okay? Binnington played phenomenal hockey. He shows up in the playoffs. He really does. And he's consistent. He's reliable, dependable. So I think for me, I have to say when it comes to being under pressure, Jordan Binnington can handle it. I am not saying that Stuart Skinner is a bad goalie by any means. And I'm not going to say the same thing about Connor Hellebuyck. I don't think he's a bad goalie by any means. But in the playoffs, that's when the light is on you. And that's either when you make it or break it. And what I noticed from those 2 goalies specifically is that they didn't handle the pressure well. I mean, Connor Hellebuyck had to be pulled in 3 out of 4 games in the first round. And Stuart Skinner did not look great at all. So when I hear people say these narratives of, oh, well, Hellebuck's better than Binnington, Skinner's better than Binnington when they rank their goalies, everybody does their list of their top 10. I'm dumbfounded because Jordan Binnington has been so consistent. And again, I can say all the facts, right? I can tell you how in 2019, how he hoisted the Stanley Cup as a rookie when he basically replaced Jake Allen throughout the season. So Jordan Binnington is that guy, which is why I am so consistent on what I say to you on Locked On Blues, that Binnington is a top 5 goalie in the NHL. I'm not going to sit here and say that Binnington's better than Bob, because Bob has been a brick wall. He is so good, and I've watched him throughout his career when he was in Philadelphia and then obviously Florida, and he has just been so consistent. He made a lot of improvements since his time in Philadelphia, but again, when these games matter the most, he shows up. And some of the saves that he made last night were highlight worthy saves. Like, it was insane what he was doing on the ice. I feel like for me, what I have a really hard time with is people saying that a player, and I'm talking more about the goalie position, is like elite, is a star when they're only talking about the regular season. But you also need to include the playoffs as well. And just hear me out on this take, okay? A player, and again, talking about the goalies, so a goalie can be great in the regular season, right? Like Connor Hellebuck, great in the regular season. Jordan Binnington was a little bit more shaky this year in the regular season. But when it comes to the playoffs, that to me is a huge factor because that's when the pressure is on you. I'm not saying for 82 games the pressure isn't on these players, because of course it is. However, when we look to the games that truly matter, right? It's the elimination games, right? And you don't show up. How can I defend a player like a Connor Hellebuck, like a Stuart Skinner, for instance, and even Jake Ottinger? And how can I defend them and say, you know what, they're a great goalie, they're more elite than Jordan Binnington, who does show up? And yes, I know the Blues lost. And again, unacceptable. They let in way too many last-minute goals, 17 times in the regular season. Unacceptable. We know that. I know that. But despite the Blues having a really shaky D-core, and I say that lightly with the word core, they were still able to force a Game 7 against the President Trophy winning Winnipeg Jets. But we look at goalies like a Jake Ottinger, who I really haven't talked much about, but an awful performance by him. I just don't understand how people have this narrative. And I'm not saying it's us Blues fans. I'm saying that it's the national media. I'm saying that it's other teams' fan bases who won't give Binnington the respect that he deserves. Last night was atrocious for Stuart Skinner. And the Edmonton Oilers, let's face it, they had every opportunity possible in this series to get ahead, and they couldn't do that. And I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to say, well, Florida was that much better. And I do agree that Florida was that much better, but you can't then tell me at the same time that Stuart Skinner is better than Jordan Binnington when Jordan Binnington had a great performance against the Jets despite the loss. You get what I'm saying? You know, in that first round, and I think this is where I have my issue, it all stems back the first round against the Winnipeg Jets. And the narrative just being, you know, Connor Hellebuck is the best goalie this year. He's so good, but yet he gets pulled in, as I mentioned, 3 different games. And that bothers me. It does. Because at the end of the day, I hate that the voting is done before the playoffs. I do. I think the playoffs should be taken into account. I understand why it's not, because half the teams don't make it. You have to do all the voting. I get it. Like, I'm a part of it, okay? I understand more than anybody. But it just infuriates me how a player can get so much recognition, but yet the player gets pulled in 3 games out of 7. Like, that's insane to me. That's an insane thing to me. However, I hope this rant does kind of help you see why I am so defensive over Jordan Binnington, because I truly do believe that Binnington is the best goalie in the West. I do. I respect Dustin Wolf, okay? I will give Dustin Wolf his props. You know, he had a phenomenal season, and I'm sure he's going to be one of the greats, right? But right now, when I'm thinking about all the goalies out in the West, like and I know he's retired, but Marc-Andre Fleury, like, I love him. I have his sweater. There is nobody that loves Flower more than I do. But I'm saying currently, right now, goalies that are going to play next season, yeah, Jordan Binnington is the best goalie in the West. And if you're going to say that he isn't, then you're biased. You're a Sharks fan, you're an Oilers fan, or you're just a hater and you don't know hockey. Okay? I didn't mean the last part. I'm sure you know hockey. Before we continue on, I want to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers a highlight-worthy performance. Major momentum shifts and can't miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have many ways, more than ever, to play smart and to win big. Tomorrow night, Oklahoma has the chance to win it all. So you're kind of hoping for Indiana to force a Game 7. I know I am. I love Game 7s. We didn't get that with hockey. So maybe, just maybe, we will get that with basketball. So new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. So when I'm looking at this Florida Panthers team, I'm looking at greatness, right? And I can appreciate that. I really can. It's funny. The last time two teams were in the finals that didn't involve a team from Florida, so either the Panthers or the Lightning, was us. It was the Blues and the Bruins when we defeated Boston in a Game 7 at TD Garden. And it's so ironic that Brad Marchand was ended up going to the Panthers and won the Cup last night for the second time in his career. But all things being said, there's a couple players that I'm interested in. I'm interested in a couple of players. Yes, I am, baby. It's the Conn Smythe winner, Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett, UFA. And he's only 28 years old. So, in my head, next season, not this season. When I'm talking about things, I'm talking about next season, not this season. So, anywho, 26 years old. Ooh, I really think... Wait, did I say the right season? No, he's a UFA now. Oh, my bad. Oh, wait, wow, it's going to be 2026 already? Disregard what I said. I had a little bit of a brain freeze, and I'm like, wait, whoa, wow, we're going to be hitting 2026? Jeez, okay. So, yeah, anyways, Sam Bennett. I knew I mentioned him before, but Sam Bennett, obviously, MVP. Phenomenal player. This is somebody who would make a huge impact on the Blues. Obviously, you can put Sam anywhere. You can put him at center. You can put him at left wing. Shoots left, which is good. But again, 28 years old, MVP. That's me a lot of money. Do I think the Blues can afford it? Absolutely not. But you never know. I'm suspecting that Brad Marchand's going to stay with the Panthers if he chooses to do so. If not, I'm sure he's going to retire. So, again, I'm not going to put that out to the world, right? Here is the interesting thing, right? You might be like, Haley, we need help defensively. Okay, I hear you on that. So, hear me out on this one. Aaron Ekblad, I know. 29 years old, right-handed defenseman. How much money is he going to be? Probably a lot of money. Do I think that the Blues can get him? Maybe. How about Nate Schmidt? Now, I like Nate Schmidt, okay? I'm a fan. Left-handed defenseman, but he is 33 years old. But if you want that veteran defensive kind of presence, then you would get him, but then you would have to do something about Justin Folk and Nicoletti. You wouldn't be able to keep them as well, right? I am just such a believer, in my opinion, that this Florida team just produces superstars. They do. And then I want to look at some other teams, right? Because I want to also look at a team that, a team that lost last night, right? And the Edmonton Oilers. So let's take a look at some of the guys that they have. Obviously, Corey Perry, you don't want to have him because he is a curse. No, I'm joking. But in all seriousness, Corey Perry is 40 years old. I think that this might be his last season probably. It's really unfortunate that he hasn't, won a cup since 2007 with the Ducks. And 5 out of his last 6 seasons, he's been on the losing team. Yeah, that sucks. Jeff Skinner, I like Jeff Skinner. I do, just not the right fit. Connor Brown. I'm a little interested in Connor Brown, but hear me out. We're going to skip to defense for a second. Restricted free agent Evan Bouchard. Come to St. Louis. I sense an offer sheet being made. Right-handed defenseman, 25 years old. Like, that is perfect. Come to St. Louis, please. Oh, could you imagine? And also John Klingberg is going to be a UFA, right-handed defenseman, but 32 years old. I really want Evan Bouchard. I do. But there's a lot of guys on the team, like obviously Kapanen. And listen, Kapanen, former Blue, I get it. But like, he did play well. Like, I'll give him that. I'm not really a fan of Trent Frederick. I'm fine on that one. Other than that, from those two teams, see, there is a name. His name is Connor McDavid. In 2026-27, he will be a UFA. So he'll be 29. I would want him. Absolutely. Give me him. But who knows? It's going to be a lot of money, so I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, I am really hoping for Evan Bouchard or Connor Brown. Those are my 2 guys from Edmonton. But I want to know who you like. I've been doing this thing, right, where I've been looking around the league and I'm just kind of seeing like, who's going to be available that was in the playoffs, right? And there's been a couple guys that make me like a little bit excited, but not too many, okay? And that's the reality that we're in, not too many. And a team that's going to have a lot of UFAs is the Dallas Stars, and I'll do a whole segment on that in another episode. But Cody Ceci, 31 years old, right-handed defenseman. I like Cody Ceci. I've always been a Cody Ceci fan. Also, Matt Dumba, not this season, but next season, he will be a UFA. So, and he'll only be 31. So I'm just saying, like, you have to kind of keep your eyes open because some of these players, even within our own conference, right, our own division, they're going to be available. And you want to attack and you want to get them. You do. You really do. Like, I'm not saying, oh my God, let's go try to get Jamie Benn. Like, no. Like, I'm sorry. No. But, like, at the same time, I'm not going to be upset if we try to go after certain players. Now, on the Blues, there's a couple of players that are UFAs, and that's Foxa. I don't know how the Blues' management feels about him. I didn't feel like they felt too overly, like, excited about him. So that makes me concerned because I actually like Foxa, and I thought he did a good job for what he did this season. We also have Ryan Suter, and same thing for Suits. I love him. I know that he probably wants to come back, and I want him to come back, and I need him to come back because I'm such a good Suter fan. But who knows? Joel Hofer right now is an RFA. And then just to give you a little heads up, Binnington, he'll be a UFA 2027, 2028. So yeah, he only has a couple years left. That makes me super uneasy. And then next season, we have a lot. Like, it's insane how much we have. We'll have Matthew Joseph as a UFA. Dylan Holloway will be an RFA. Texier will be an RFA. Alexei Turchenko will be a UFA. Sonny will be a UFA. Bolduc will be an RFA. Walker will be a UFA. Like, it's a lot. Justin Falk will, well, that's a couple seasons away. Torrey Krug makes me so sad. I don't want to talk about that. Colton Parika will be here for a while, so we're good on him. Next season, Philip Broberg will be an RFA. Fowler will be a UFA. Letty will be a UFA. And then the other guys like Kyrou, Thomas, Bushi, we're good on them. Shenny has a while. Neighbors, we're good for a little bit. So yeah, I'm kind of nervous for next year with the Blues. I'm not going to lie to you. However, at the end of the day, that's the situation that they're in. So shifting gears, and I said at the beginning of the episode that there was something that made me very emotional, and it was Keith Tkachuk. So I don't know what the Elbow Room is. I guess it's like a bar. I'm not really sure what it is exactly. But they were there this morning, like early, like 6 a.m., 8 a.m. early, and they were celebrating their victory, right? And Matthew hands the cup, the beautiful Stanley Cup that we once held, to his father, Keith Tkachuk, one of the greatest, in my opinion, who has never won the cup. And it was such a cool moment. Like, Keith's holding the cup up and everyone's cheering. And it just really made me so happy because I remember, and I saw photos on social media as well, like when Keith was being like honored here for different things, like Matthew and Brady were on the ice and they were St. Louis gear, at the All-Star game when they still had that because the NHL used to actually have an All-Star game before they began canceling it. They had like their Cardinals gear on and their Blues gear, and it's so cool to me. I told you from the beginning, I wanted the Panthers to win because of the Tkachuks. I love that family. And I know people have been saying things like, oh, they're going to all move to Florida. I don't think so. Like, I don't think that's happening. I know that Matthew has expressed that this has been the greatest thing that's ever happened to him playing with the Panthers, and I don't doubt that. He won back-to-back cups. Like, that is phenomenal. It's so nice seeing Brady happy for his brother. But, I think at one point, one of the guys will come here. And I said all along, I think if Matthew wins multiple cups, he might want to come with the Blues later on in his career. So I'm not saying that this is going to happen now, right? But when I look at Matthew Tkachuk's contract, because this is where we get a little bit, in my opinion, interested. He will be a UFA in 2030. So he'll be 32. He might come. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's a possibility. Like, that's not out of the question, right? And then we look at Brady Tkachuk. I love Brady, but do you really want to stay with Ottawa? And he will be a UFA in 2028, 2029. So soon. So a couple seasons away, right? 3 seasons. You never know. I just don't see the Ottawa Senators being a contending team. I don't. And I think it's honestly in Brady's best interest to come here. I do. The Blues are going to be a contending team. They're already a contending team. So wouldn't you want to play for a team that has a great goalie in Jordan Binnington, that has a star forward in Robert Thomas that you could just work with? Like, there was so much potential with the Blues that I don't see why players wouldn't want to come to St. Louis. I really don't. I think that this is a great hockey team that is only going to get better. So again, huge congratulations to the Florida Panthers and to the Tkachuk family. And with that, the 2024-25 season has officially come to an end. 9 days until the draft. And hey, free agency, we're almost here. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.